Shirley's Neuralgic Crystal. Hello, my name's Gavin. This is Genre Books, and it's Thursday, so time for another bookshelf exploration, excavation. And yes, there's a bit of a mix today. Some chunky books to begin with as well. First up, The Mediterranean and the Mediterranean World in the Age of Philip II by Fernand Braudel. Not one volume, but 2 volumes. I think there were only 2 volumes. The Mugger by Ed McBain. Now, I've only read a few of the 87th Precinct books, so I'll be glad to add this to the list. The Confessions of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. From the Folio Society, Bernal Diaz, The Conquest of New Spain, with this lovely shiny cover. New Spain, otherwise known as Not Spain, and The Age of Reconnaissance by J.H. Parry. Now, I've read this one. It's pretty comprehensive, a little bit dry, but very informative. A little bit dry considering it's all about the ocean. I'm even including some reference works in this bookshelf tour, and this is the Chambers Biographical Dictionary. I've had this for a quarter of a century now, and I do dip into it occasionally, and it's sometimes handier than the internet, because the internet isn't edited by Magnus Magnusson like this book is. A book I tell myself I will get round to reading one day. That's Dermot McCulloch's A History of Christianity. It's just a little bit intimidating and not light reading for the commute. Indian Fairy Tales, collected by Lucia Turnbull. And this starts with the story of the Stone Monkey, which is just retelling of the Wu Jian. And obviously, for anyone my age, monkey magic. A Hodder and Stoughton Yellow Jacket Western from 1933. This is Clarence E. Mulford's The Bar 20 Rides Again. From 1901, Ernest Gillett Smith in the Medieval Towns series, The Story of Bruges. So, showing its age a little, if it's 123 years old, I'm not going to complain too much. But nicely illustrated throughout, in fact, and must have been used by someone who was visiting at the time, because there's a little slip in here advertising the restaurant Hugo in Bruges. From 1886, from Castle's National Library, Goethe, The Sorrows of Werther, creator of one of the original moral panics and concerns over teenagers, even though teenagers was not a word in common use. It has some great advertisements in the cover as well, including for Schweizer's Cocotina, guaranteed pure soluble cocoa, nickel, black, silver and lead. Or was that nickel, silver and black lead? I don't know. Mellin's Food, entirely soluble and not farinaceous, rich in blood and bone forming elements. This is specialist food for infants and invalids. Shirley's Neuralgic Crystal, Woodward's Gripe Water, Monsterat Lime Fruit Juice, and Hudson's Extract of Soap. Next up, a collection that was released by Penguin 20 plus years ago. Some short works or extracts from longer works. So we have, this is the Great Ideas collection, I think. We have Seneca on the Shortness of Life, Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, St. Augustine, Confessions of a Sinner, Thomas à Kempis, The Inner Life. Prince from Machiavelli. Montaigne on friendship. Jonathan Swift, Tale of a Tub. Rousseau again, twice in one video, Social Contract. Edward Gibbon, The Christians and the Fall of Rome. Thomas Paine, Common Sense. Mary Wollstonecraft, Vindication of the Rights of Women. William Hazlitt on the Pleasure of Hating. Marx and Engels, The Communist Manifesto. Schopenhauer on the Suffering of the World. On Art and Life, John Ruskin. Darwin on Natural Selection. Nietzsche, Why I Am So Wise. A Room of One's Own from Virginia Woolf. Freud, Civilization and Its Discontents. And finally, George Orwell, Why I Write. Some short writings by William Makepeace Thackeray, The Four Georges and English Humorists, so biographical sketches. 2 volumes of the Decameron from Boccaccio from the Everyman's Library. And if you want to entice me to read a 600-page edition of the Decameron, I'm going to insist on having absolutely no break, paragraph break or dialogue at all. Romola from George Eliot. 2 from H.G. Wells, In the Days of the Comet and The World Set Free. 3 from H.G. Wells. I've also got The Island of Dr. Moreau. A couple from Sir Walter Scott, Guy Mannering, which looks like a very slim, it's on India paper, so it's a very slim 526 pages. Fantasy authors, take note, that's how thin your novels can actually be. Help people like me get more on the shelves. And The Antiquary. Tales of the Alhambra from Washington Irving. Goodbye Columbus from Philip Roth. And Britain Needs Books from John Brophy. This is possibly the briefest book I have on these shelves. 72 pages, produced during the Second World War, and a plea and a reasoned argument for producing books even though the war is on. You can tell that they're compelling arguments because they're backed up by statistics. And now on to some sci-fi and fantasy that I did not get round to reading during Rocket Summer, including The Door into Summer from Robert A. Heinlein, Tales of Tomorrow, in this issue Forgotten World by John Ellis, and Worlds of Fantasy, in this issue Martian Terror by Ray Mason. Amazing Stories, Volume 1, Number 5, including stories by Philip K. Dick, Vern Fearing, Bill Peters, Ivor Jorgensen, Murray Leinster, Richard Wilson, and Curtis Casewit. If Worlds of Science Fiction, including stories by Walter Miller Jr., Con Pedersen, Philip K. Dick, Richard Stockham, Arthur Decker Savage, Winston Marks, Richard Matheson. And a feature from James Blish. One which I started and didn't finish during August, so we'll see if I can finish this by the end of the year. That is The Hidden Temple from Catherine Cook. No Boundaries from Henry Kuttner and C.L. Moore. Tomorrow and Tomorrow from Lewis Paget. Lewis Paget is a pseudonym of Henry Kuttner and C.L. Moore. Wasp from Eric Frank Russell. Slan from A.E. Van Vogt. Barrier 346 from Carl Siegfried. Carl Siegfried, also known as Lionel Fanthorpe. Split Worlds from Tyrone C. Barr. Wonders of the Spaceways. In this issue, Convoy to the Unknown by D.R. Menset. Wealth of the Void from Vargo Staton. Spiro Nova from Burl Cameron. Conditioned for Space by Alan Ash. And one which I did actually read, but not for Rocket Summer. I think I read this for Garb August. That is The Purple Wizard by Volstead Gridban. And finally, for today, I didn't get to read this in Rocket Summer, but I did read another book by this lady. This is The Man with Six Senses from Muriel Yeager. I'm definitely going to read this for Rocket Summer next year. So I think we are actually now halfway through all of the books that I want to show during this series. Realising what a job of cataloguing and reorganising this I have to do, but it must be done. So, daunted by that, but until next time, bye.